Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Mason got caught.
Not hey, checking the message. It's like, oh, man,
right. I'm Dani Tirrell.
I'm Randy Ford.
I'm Mase III.
And welcome to
the living room. So I don't even know where to start. Today, we are back. Just a few things. We are switching to every other week. We have some beautiful changes in store for you all that we will slowly begin to talk about. So catch us every other week now instead of every week. It also gives us some time to really plan and just make sure that we are delivering the best product that we possibly can. So I just wanted to get that out there. Again, we will slowly start talking about more changes, but we are super excited about it. And so that's it. What is the living room?
Yes.
Why are you smiling like that?
Because I always feel like my smiling face has to be, arresting. Yes. But the living room, we are a video podcast, a chat room, a kiki spot. Where we sit and talk about a bunch of just things. We're all artists here in the Seattle community. I'm from here. These two are transplants, but they feel like my cousins. They're like family to me. So we decided to make a video about that. We love the read, we love the grapevine, we love all of our favorite talk shows, and we decided to have our own. We talk about fashion, politics, sexuality, spirituality, our own kiki. But yeah, and that's really what we used to have. A live audience, multi-generational, me being the youngest. And
nothing that she has to say, but feel the need to say.
Nothing that I have to say, but
you wanted to say
I wanted to say it.
I think we have some anger directed towards us that's not about us, but we won't talk about that.
There's a smile on my face. I'm not angry.
You can smile through anger. Okay. So anyway, that is the living room. Mason, do you want to go through our community responsibilities and agreements?
Yeah, and so for those of y'all that are new with us, we prioritize Black, transgender, non-conforming, and non-binary people. If you do not fall under those categories, that's cool. You can hang out, but just know that's who we're prioritizing. So if we engage with a comment or engage with people, we might skip over things that we feel like might be hostile to the people that we love and care about. And we just ask that we are all growing to a space in which we are creating a better world, specifically for Black, trans, and non-binary and gender non-conforming people to live in. And we know that when we're doing that, we're creating a better world for everybody.
Hey, you better say that.
Says that. Oh.
Right. So we have segments. We're changing those segments eventually.
Eventually.
When we have our kiki.
Y'all watch this. Okay, I just need y'all. So in 2 weeks' time, I need y'all to come back to this conversation because Dani Tirrell always tries to get on me for not being good with secrets or things like that. And so as I'm hearing Dani and Randy kind of cut up like this, y'all, it'll all make sense to y'all in 2 weeks. But I just want y'all to put a pin in this particular conversation and just remember that Dani Tirrell hates it when Mase isn't good at keeping secrets. So continue.
I keep secrets. We're just. I said at the beginning, you will start to slowly hear things. So anyway, we're going to give our blessings and our bullshit. We may chop somebody. We may give them tens. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Blessings and bullshit.
Or get their tens. I just want y'all to start putting things together as you're watching.
Absorbing.
You're intelligent human beings. Would you like to start us off with blessings and bullshit, Randy?
I will. Blessings and bullshit. Let's see. Blessings. I love my car. I've been blessed to have a car and been making payments on her for 4 months now. My first car I'm making payments on. Her name is Miss Daisy. It's very controversial, I know, but the name just came to me when I bought it.
It came because you've never seen the movie, right?
I've never seen the movie.
That's that generational divide right there. Just never seen. Yeah. But continue. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thankful for my car. I love having a car.
She's driving this day.
I'm driving this day.
Daisy.
The kids love it. Okay.
The kids love it. Okay. The grown folks are like, what you
Grown folks are like, the I know, right?
Right. We're all like, oh, okay.
Dead. And then my bullshit though. My bullshit would have to be that is I'm also thankful to be working during this time. Work has been great. Work has been keeping me sane and alive and on top of bills. But we'll go into it, our main topic. But yeah, this week being Trans Awareness Week and just being that, I had to put out an ask to raise money. And the fact that Black trans people have to even ask for money during this week, I think it's a little bit of bullshit. I think we should be, every day we should be getting money, right? Every day. But especially this week, y'all shouldn't be asking us for shit. But our knows. And so I just want to let that sit for a second. That is all.
Okay. You heard it. So, you heard it. We'll get into that more later. My blessing this week, I kind of struggle with this, but I just want to say that it is okay to be proud of yourself. It is okay to lift yourself up. It is okay to name those things that are great about you. And this is not a vanity thing. It is about we live in a space where we can name everything that's wrong about us, and we have other people name everything that's wrong about us through not our choice, but people just do that. So this is a time that you can actually be proud of yourself. This is a time that you can say, like, no, I'm proud of myself for doing this thing, and I believe in myself, and not seeking and searching for validation inside of that. I wrote something that was just like, we, as Black people, we live so much being invalidated that I'm just going to read you what I wrote because it's been sitting on me and I haven't posted it yet, so you're getting a sneak peek. Sorry, y'all, I'm taking up time, I know. This is what I said. I said, we have been invalid for so long. Seeking invalid validation seems like a win. So, it's just like, I just believe in that. Like we seek any type of validation when it's not invalid. Like it's a win because we've been invalid for so long. So I say the blessing is just being proud of myself. The bullshit for me is really tied into the same thing of the blessing of just understanding for myself that the system that we've been in no longer can exist, no longer should exist. We keep trying to do everything the same way, but we want to fight white supremacy. We want to fight capitalism. We want to fight cishet people. We want to fight these things, but we don't want to break up with the particular systems that have caused us to hate ourselves, to invalidate ourselves. And so I'm at that point where I'm really just like in a slow breakup, like a serious breakup with those things. And so that for me will be a lot of things are changing. A lot of ways that I engage will be changing because I can't be mad at the things if I keep playing a part in their existence. And that doesn't mean that I can erase them or that I will erase them, but I need to play another part in my health, mental, emotional health. That's the way that I'm looking at things. I'm not asking anybody to agree or disagree. That's just kind of where I'm at right now. So, yeah. Mason.
Like blessings and bullshit. I mean, my bullshit is, and I was saying this to y'all earlier, it's like, I don't know how many of y'all watching, but let us know in the comments if you've been worn out this last couple of weeks. So if you've been worn out, especially like despite all the different things happening, we're still in the pandemic. And I know that we see the updates on like how many people have been impacted physically by the disease. what we're also not counting as when we talk about numbers of people that actually have had COVID or died from COVID, but also like every one person that's been impacted by COVID is tied to a team of other people, a family of other people, a network of friends of other people, right? So we've had millions of people impacted by COVID, and even dozens of more millions that have also been impacted by COVID because it has changed and shaped our lives, right? And so being in this pandemic right now, we're like 9 months in and acting like things are like it's not. Like we're trying to like, people are asking us in workspaces to be normal. It's not normal. Someone asked me like, they like, I sent you 2 emails. Like, why haven't I heard from you? It's like, because it's a pandemic. And I'm kind of worn out. I was like, if you haven't heard from me, maybe I'm taking a quick break. Okay, like maybe I need some time. Like my inbox has not gotten smaller because it's a pandemic, right? But my energy level has gotten smaller, right? And so just being honest with ourselves about that. So I would say that's one of my bullshit pieces. Blessings is that, hey, like we're in this time. So right now it's Trans Awareness Week, which is so complicated for so many different directions because it's one becomes this place in which cis people who never care about cis trans people outside of Trans Day of Remembrance will be memorializing people. So that's always an emotional roller coaster. And the reality is like I'm seeing trans people uplifted throughout the week, which I can never disagree with us as especially Black, Brown, and Indigenous trans people being centered for the things that we bring into the world. I hope one day that we're famous for more things than just being trans, and that people actually get to know the intricacies of our brilliance and not just one part of our identity marker, but that actually we're kind of smart all the time, right? And it's trans antagonism that makes it hard for you to internalize that. But that's, like I want to see trans people famous for math. I want to see trans people famous for like being astronauts. I want to see trans people famous for being actors because of the caliber of their work, right? That gets acknowledged and not just one part of them, right? Because they've been doing really good work. It's not just merely the transness that makes them brilliant, right? So I kind of want a world where we get to that place. I just want to see us paying attention to all year round.
Yes. I want to we do have a main topic. We're talking about Trans Day of Remembrance. I kind of want to go back to something that you said, Mason, especially centered around like COVID. I was on an email chain this last week for a place that I work, and the manager of the building, and that's not their title, but I'm trying to like, but they were just like, hey, we can't be in the building because we had a COVID scare, and someone emailed them back was just like, well, we need to get this thing done. So the health department said, like, it was just this fight. And I was just like, okay, first off, let me just talk about how horrible your email was. Like, and that I think also helped spark this thing of just like, so the product is more important than people's life, no matter what the situation is, because we don't know what's happening in this world with this disease. But you want the product to happen. And so I was just like, but someone's life could be at stake, whether it's low risk or not. A risk is a risk. And so the lack of love and care that we are having during this time is nothing new. So I don't want to think it's nothing new, but it's just it's astonishing to me. Like we just put a mask on. A lot of people don't like wearing it. I'm not a big fan of it, but you won't hear me complain about it. I'm just going to do it because my life is valuable and someone else's life is valuable. That's just been on my mind a lot also of just how selfish we are. That's the word. We are extremely, extremely selfish. And again, we want to produce this thing at the risk of.
And also low risk to who? Low risk, like, cause that's also the question, right? So it's like, so low risk, like, so when you're saying like, oh yeah, risk is still risk. And also like, just because someone else is low risk doesn't mean that I'm low risk. Exactly. Like if I have certain, like, I shouldn't have to give you my whole medical history to tell you that I'm terrified of getting COVID, right? And I actually don't want to be sitting here debating with people about it. Like, I don't want to get it. I don't know if I would survive, right? I don't have to like prove to you that, right? Like, and so that's also just a wild time is the lack of just thoughtfulness. Like, just like, I think what we've all learned, like, I am not a person who believes in any particular, political party or anything like that. I will say in the last 4 years around a Trump administration, I think I shared this with y'all before, is what I've noticed is just a larger capacity for a lack of empathy, right? A higher capacity for cruelty, and then I think also bleeds especially into the COVID piece of like watching people who believe they're great in all the other kinds of ways and are actually willing to let people nearly kill themselves for work.
Right.
When they'll just replace you. Like, if I can't do it, you will replace me. So who cares if it gets done this week? I'm sure you can find another person. If it's that serious, you can find another person to do it.
Right.
Or you do it.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't get it done, how you want it, you do it.
Exactly.
Like, if you really need it done that fast,
right,
then you, who was able to send me that email, should be able to do the task. Right. But since you need me, maybe invest in how to maybe maintain me.
Hello.
Like maybe invest in my mental health. Maybe invest in, like transportation and food, make sure it's always in a fridge. Maybe, you provide the things so I can get the things you need done. It's not just like a, hey, person, hey, trans person. Let's just say that, because we're trans. But work, do the thing, perform, be the thing, Vogue. It's all of that, and then you hit us up during a week we're supposed to mourn and grieve.
Right.
Then you hit us up during a time where all of the world doesn't know what to do with itself right now, and then you ask us, like, what's going on? Oh, I don't know. Did you not wake up as well? Someone didn't. Someone didn't. Money, salary, exactly.
I wanted to read Tori's comment.
And just like with this week in particular, with Trans Awareness Week, like like when I talk to my sisters and brothers and siblings, who are just tired, just really exhausted. Some of us are still mourning Constance's, passing. Like real shit. Like real deal stuff. And then folks also, I think, forget too that real people are working in community, and that, we are the ones that are also affected by the many things happening around us. Many of us are sex workers, who have to navigate the complexities of that and this pandemic and capitalism and all the things. So it's like, I think people need to give, again, trans people year round more grace, but like people really need to like give us grace, and we as Black trans people need to also give ourselves grace and be like, yo, this is not your doing, like we aren't the reasons for these circumstances, we aren't the people causing this, we are simply the product, right? Or the fuel for it to even keep working, and so once we start, I think, having agency, or like empowering ourselves and be like, you know what, no. Or, pay me this, I think we will keep that cycle of, participating in the systems that we don't want to.
Right.
And there is a way I think you can be both, like there are ways I think, you can definitely be both. I don't think anything's that cut and dry. I forgot this was a crop top, y'all, sorry. Had a little under boob action. But like give yourselves grace. Give yourselves grace.
Right.
Give yourselves grace. Please. Please.
Listen.
We're only gonna keep draining ourselves,
I think a while ago we talked about guilt around emails or something like that. I think the three of us were talking about that. I was throwing someone my email, my little inbox today, and I was like, I'm giving myself grace. I was like, y'all see, like stuff like there's always going to be something else that needs to get done, And unless someone dies because it isn't done, it actually doesn't need to be done right now.
Exactly.
It's cool. Like I'm going to get sleep, and I would rather be well rested to do a thing than doing something under duress, where it's going to add to my lack of being well, which has its own kind of ripple effects, right? So like you do one thing and you overexert yourself once, you're going to keep doing it, right? Because every other moment after that time you start overexerting yourself is now an overexertion, right? And that cycle just keeps on, right? So so I'm trying to give myself, and I hope that we all give ourselves all that grace.
And I think at this point in time, because the world has just completely changed, nothing is as urgent as we think it is. Nothing was never as urgent as we thought it was. And at this point in time, if you love me today, you're going to love me tomorrow. And if not, then you need to check yourself and don't check me.
Ooh.
It's like that thing of like, we are artists and we know the importance of like our art. We are also artists that, we've been told if you're not producing, you're not X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So what this time has taught me is just like, you don't have to produce to validate who you are as an artist.
Right.
Because even right now, like looking at online and looking at all of the stuff that I see online, like I'm just bored out of my mind at stuff. I'm just like, okay, we went down this road, and I'm bored because we are in an urgency to continue to keep life the way that it is, and it's not. And I think, again, as trans people, our lives continue to change for the worse in these circumstances, especially if we don't have access to particular things.
Right.
So we have to keep producing in a particular way that's not healthy.
And when people are asking us to produce, they're acting like they're doing us a favor, right? So it's like, I get all these inboxes like, can you do this thing for me for $10? And like, thinking they're giving me money during the pandemic. It's like, you underpaying me to make me do something under a rushed amount of time is actually hurting me and causing me harm. And so it's like just having that kind of conversation with people of like what actually, in this place in which, especially we as Black and brown trans people get so pushed out of 9-to-5 work and we get pushed out to all these different things. It's like the answer is to not push us more into spaces in which we're working for cishet people that don't understand their own cissexism or trans antagonism, is to provide for us, because we've already been doing work. We've already been doing stuff. We've already given you gifts of education. We've already given you gifts of labor, more than what our bodies can handle, right? So allow us space to rest. That's the actual piece that's demanded of folks right now.
Right.
And even that piece of grief, like what you were talking about, Randy, like the idea that people could be asking folks for stuff while they're still grieving the loss of close friends doesn't make, like, to me, like during this time, and we'll kind of talk about it more in a second, but like there's times for me, it's like when it's like for people to whom names that come up during Trans Day Remembrance are just that, they're just like words on a screen, this time can feel very easy. It's like if you know and you remember people that you love and you care about dying for all kinds of reasons, because there's all kinds of reasons outside of even just direct physical violence in which the lives of Black trans women and femmes is cut short, Black and brown trans women and Indigenous trans women and femmes is cut short, and Black and brown trans and Indigenous people of all kinds are cut short, right? Because we're antagonized in so many different ways, right? And that does take a toll. It takes an immense toll.
Right. I think we should just really dip more and segue into Trans Day of Remembrance. I know we're talking about it, but just to jump in even more. And I have been so detached from so many things, especially social media. Like you text me today, and I was like, "What are you talking?" Like my mind is so right. I was like, my mind is so not in a space to like take in a lot of things. And again, to your point, Mason, I'm trying to use this time just to rest, because the toll of this year that has taken its toll on me. So I'm just really trying to like cut down on certain things. So like, yeah, when you text me, I was just like, what? When you text us, I was like, what is like have no, and then I'm like, oh yes. So who wants to like just jump in more about what Trans Day of Remembrance is?
So I was trying to make sure I got her name exactly right. I don't know so I don't know who wants to kind of jump in with do we want to start with history stuff first? Is that helpful?
I think so. Yeah. For those that don't know, because y'all saw my text earlier today.
You're like,
yeah. And so Trans Day of Remembrance was started in 1999 by Gwendolyn Ann Smith, who was a white trans woman who recognized all the different folks, especially that were in community, especially that were Black trans women and femmes that were being killed and wanted to create a day to memorialize people that were being left out of newspapers or were incorrectly talked about in newspapers, or specifically, that might have been discarded by families and things like that. So she started that about 21 years ago. It is morphed into a lot of different directions. And so I think that's really where, so even what we're going to be talking about today is not necessarily about what is the root of TDoor, which I actually think is like actually inconsequential, but really about where has it landed? Where does it actually land for Black trans women and femmes, right? Where does it land for Black trans folks? Where does it land for trans people as a whole? So I think that's what I'm more invested in. But that's just a little bit of history for people. It also happens on November 20th, so it's going to happen this Friday. So every year it's on November 20th for people that are familiar with the date pieces. But
it's the Friday after ending Trans Awareness Week. And I found this out 2 years ago, I think, but November is supposed to be unofficially Trans Awareness Month, since I guess both of the holidays falling. But again, that capitalism thing, like, oh, this falls in there, let's make it a month or whatever. But I think I was introduced to TDoor, TDOR, as a definite, like, a day to remember those who've been lost to violence specifically. And I know this year, with the Black Trans Task Force, again, like, we lost a community member, not due to violence, but, she was grieving her brother, and like they said, there are many ways that Black trans people are dying, unexpectedly and young, for that matter as well, too. And so it's a day to remember, because especially for me, like, being a performer, and being one that, is seen and people like to, praise a lot. This week and Pride Month are always very just hard for me, because it's just another moment of, like, almost that performative, like, oh, you only care when I'm making you money, when I'm speaking on a panel that you want, oh, let's get Randy on this panel last minute for $100, to talk about grief, to talk about, and again, to kind of like do the 101 kind of thing of just saying names. And again, all of these names aren't even the names of the total number of folks that we lose to violence every day. Like, in the articles, so many people who are misgendered. There are folks who probably aren't even out in their communities that are being murdered due to violence, and like,
I also want to add this, like, not only do they call you, but they call you and want you to do these things. And also we want you to come in full glam, and Vogue, or something. Like, we want you to talk to these hard things, and we want to like you to come in full attire.
Y'all see this? This is stubble. Like, this is facial hair,
right?
During this week, but I ain't dressing up for nobody, but my damn self.
And it's a sad. I mean, that's a sad part of just like, that's the other part with it, which may seem small to people. But that's another huge part. We want a version of yourself to come in the door.
Right.
The showy, the flashy, the glam. We want to, again, see that you're transgender. You know what I mean? And it's like, this isn't what this week or this day or this month is supposed to be about. It's not about, it's not about selling merchandise or putting up posters or all that stuff. But again, what you should be doing during this week is checking in on people. You should be donating directly to Black trans folks. You should be making sure people have food, making sure people have relief fund and aid. We're still living during a pandemic. And last time I checked, Black trans women, make up a big population of sex workers and Black trans folks in general. So like, we're navigating that. We still have work to do, while some of you, get paid to be at home, while some of you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's so funny. Like, when the pandemic happened the first time, I didn't treat it like any other different day other than like, Randy needs to make sure this bag is made. Like, there was no different, like, I was like, oh, this is like any other day where I'm trying to make it work. Like, so many trends, like, we're always in a pandemic where we're always trying to make it work. We're always trying to find cash and always trying to get checks and always trying to, eat. So it's like, really think about who you're dangling, you know, these things in front of, you know, like who you're like, oh, like just be aware of like that dynamic of like, oh, let's give, you know, them, you know, let's give the little tranny a little yes queen and then make her spin and dip and then call it a day. Like I'm over it.
And you don't get to decide who sees himself as trans.
Also.
Like I just, again, these are the things that like come up to me. It's like one of my students at UW asked me, you know, about pose and like, what do you think about pose? And I was just like, you know, again, there's versions of things that we see on this week, this month, on this day, on Friday. I hate to say this and be cliche, but yes, all aspects of trans lives matter. You know, and so please don't pick and choose who you feel is deserving of your coin, your attention, your blah, 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 because we fall into that trap also. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. And the Black Trans Task Force, this Friday, we are doing a online TDoor event where we're holding space to grieve this whole year. We are also going to be surveying, asking Black trans people in the community what actual resources they need during the second stay-at-home order. Because we can't give cash relief yet because we're trying to figure out an online issue. But we're still, surveying. We still provide legal services through Lavender Rights Project. So we're going to be, I'll put the link in this. I forgot to make a little thing for it, but we'll make a thing so you can register for the event. If you're an ally or a non-Black trans person and you want to attend, there will be ways you can volunteer. As far as like having, donating money so that we can assemble This Is Not a Solution self-defense kits that Evo Barton is making, or you can also donate to the task force. There's also the Trans Women of Color Solidarity Network, who on Fridays, which again, TDoor is on Friday, they do their cash relief. So if you are in need of relief, they do their kind of like, this is when we're doing our cash efforts on Fridays. Because I was hit up by someone in the community who was needing aid, but then you know, Twaxon was like, yo, we're still trying to manage, again, life. So please, please, please bear with us all as we go through all of this. But TDoor, I know that's what we're doing, but what you could be doing, donating that money, because we love money.
Listen,
we don't love hashtags, we love money.
And it has to happen.
And it has to happen.
Like that's like people like, oh, like we want, like, because even like if they want you to show up fabulous, even if you wanted to show up fabulous, showing up fabulous costs money. Like, let me tell you something, like wearing a binder, wearing tuckers, wearing like makeup, wearing anything. Being trans is expensive. Okay, I don't know if y'all know this. Being trans and being respected as a trans person is expensive. Okay, like, you know, all of that, all this, right? You know, like, so please, like, please pour into people, right? A big thing that you also said to me, Randy, like something that like sticks out so much is like people, like the sex worker piece is like people, you cannot denigrate sex workers or denigrate sex work or do things that penalize sex workers throughout the year and then be like, oh, it's so sad that these things happen to Black trans women and all those kind of stuff. It's like, who do you think, right? So a lot of folks that are killed, right, are in positions in which, because they've been pushed out of 9-to-5 work, because they've been pushed out of even safe sex work, right? All those different things, because y'all been shutting down all the different websites that are safe people to post on. You've been shutting down and harassing people who are sex workers and not the people that are hiring sex workers, right? You've been shutting down and talking and making it a morality issue being a sex worker when you all benefit from the labor of sex workers. Like, I don't care if you've ever personally, individually, you participate, either if you've ever watched porn, you have benefited from the work of a sex worker. If you have ever seen a go-go dancer or a stripper somewhere, you have benefited from the work of a sex worker. If you've ever had good sex, you have read a book on good sex, you have benefited from the labor, the love, and the work and the knowledge of a sex worker, period, right? Yeah. All. So I don't know anybody, right, who has not benefited from the work, labor, and love of a sex worker, right? And so we can't crap on sex workers and then be like, hey, so sad on TDoor. That doesn't make sense to me, right? It doesn't make sense, right? Or even we talk about houselessness even too.
Right. And if you are a Black trans person that is HIV positive, there are, and I will put my email address we are all a part of something called the Soli Fund, and we are gathering names, which this will be anonymous. We won't publicly share your name, but if you are a Black trans person that's HIV positive and need of funds, um, please hit us up. And we are all working on that fund with PACE. So we want to make sure that, again, the things that we are doing, and that's my email address. So I'll just throw my email address out there. Please hit us up. We are trying to give out money before December. And this is real. We're not like just saying that. So if you know any Black trans person that is HIV positive that needs some money, please let us know. We're working really hard to try to also do the things that have failed. We're trying to stand in the gaps of certain things, and we can't do it all, but we're definitely doing our best. So again, there's my email address. Go ahead, Mason. I'm sorry.
And what I would also add is if anyone wants to nominate a Black trans person who is HIV positive that is in need financially, please also consider that. So if you yourself are not a Black trans person who's HIV positive, but you know of someone who is Black HIV positive and in need of funds, right? Please also reach out to Dani as well, right? Because we want to make sure that we are, like she's saying, we want to get all this. We got money to spend, y'all. We got money to spend. We want to spend it on the people. Okay. Inshallah. Okay.
Mason, you put a question in, and you said, what does TDoor mean for you all individually? And then again, where this is just a link to the Black Trans Task Force TDoor event registration. Yes.
Can we also put that in the comments so that they can click on it?
Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes. I can segue.
Cannot click on it better.
Yes.
So I would love, like, Randy, if you would, I don't know if you want to go first or where you want to, but you can go wherever you want to go. But
I can go first.
Question, I want to go first, so go ahead.
Too sweet. But yeah, TDoor. As someone who is an able-bodied, skinny, conventionally attractive performer, and I, navigate the world in ways to which, whatever. I use TDoor and every day, honestly, as a day to remind myself that even though, again, like, I'm the most well-intentioned person in the world, the systems that I participate in still are at, the expense of others. Others who are disabled, others who are dark-skinned, others who identify as fat, others who identify as, who have invisible disabilities even. And so for me, TDoor and every other day just means another day to make sure that I'm being aware of the, let's see, there was a good quote I heard today, you wanna leave a place better than you left it.
Yes.
Like, I don't want my energy, what I'm leaving in the world, to leave too much residue, like to at the cost of someone's life, to have to step on someone's neck to get ahead, to, all that stuff. TDoor is a day for me as a Black person to reclaim my time, to really think about where I want to put my energy, how I'm using my energy. This week has been a very interesting week because I've been so busy, and I've been kind of just like looking at myself, been like, like, what the fuck? This is counterproductive. You're supposed to be, like, sleeping, resting, all this stuff, but I planned work around this week. Maybe I did it to kind of distract myself. Who knows? But yeah, it's TDoor. It's hard. It's hard. Any of these, commodified queer holidays are very hard, because it's, like I said, this energy is never kept consistently. And so it's kind of always like a, I have to either talk myself really up and be like, you know what, at least you got your circle, you know what I mean? At least you got your network, at least you have your life, your sanity, and, your car, like the little things to like make it better. But yeah, TDoor, it's a time for, again, y'all to really just everybody. Like, I can't, like, when I see, you know, certain people's posts who post every day, hey y'all, can you share my post? You know, hey y'all, can you, I'm just like, oh my God, like, it just breaks my heart.
Right.
And I feel like I should be the, and you know, and you feel like you need to be the one to like do it all. And it's like, no, like, again, this is not my doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mixture of things. It's hard. It's a bigger thing for me to just use my platform to be like, look, people, I know y'all love me, but y'all gotta love everyone else more or something, or love yourselves more, or love, you know, like everything that makes me more, you know, like not just the things that I create or produce. That was all of a nutshell of how TDoor makes me feel. Yeah, I'm happy to be here though. And I'm happy that, again, like I'm with the task force to be kind of doing the platforms that I wish I could see more. And again, that's kind of like again, we're not going to save the community, you know, like we aren't the ones to save the community. Like it's the people who kill the community, you know, that need to be saving the community. So all the things. What about you, Mase?
Thank you.
I think for me, it's So can I tell a quick story to y'all? Can I tell a quick story? So, you know, as y'all know, I moved to Seattle, so from Philly, when I was working at an organization, and all the queer organizations, you know, pretty tight like they are in most cities, right? And so one of the girls that worked at a partner organization, that we were all familiar with, was murdered, like back in, I think 2012, something like that. I remember that year I was on tour at the end of the year. I think like right around Trans Day of Remembrance, not for Trans Day of Remembrance, but just being on tour. And we were outside this university, and they had this list of names on this brick wall that myself and my performance partner at the time were passing by. She played guitar, a cis woman, a black cis woman. And so we're passing by, and so all these people are just passing by this list of names, you know? And I'm seeing this woman who I knew on this list of names, and I'm like breaking the fuck down. Like I'm breaking the fuck down because all these people are just like passing by her. And so my friend and I, we sat up and we just performed outside of the wall, this list of names, for like an hour. And people were like, what are y'all doing? Well, I was like, and we were like, do y'all see what this is? Do y'all know what this is? Do y'all see who these people are? Do y'all know, like, you know, this is not decoration. These are people, these are human beings, folks that many of us have loved and cared about. It's more just than a piece of paper, you know? And so TDoor is this time in which you watch people manhandle the names of human beings that deserve so much more than to be monetized for corporate gain, that deserve to be more than monetized for organizations that don't give a fuck the rest of the year. So I watch organizations like the Human Rights Campaign, I watch organizations like GLSEN, I watch organizations like GLAAD that barely even hire the same people that are murdered and will denigrate, that would never let someone come in speaking the way of community, or would not let someone come in talking about sex work, would not let someone come in talking about the realities of their lives, and they got the fucking nerve, right, to make memoriams to these people, right, and to these loved ones, to these lovers, to these friends, to all these family members, you know? And so TDoor is at once this place in which you get to memorialize people who may not have been buried the right way, right? Like, I don't know how many people have had to go to funerals of people and watched that. I think every queer person has been to a funeral, or a trans person has been to a funeral and watched a loved one be buried in a way that was unacceptable, right? So it's this place to kind of right the wrongs of those things. And I don't think that can happen in mainstream community. I think it can't happen with a bunch of strangers. I think that it can't happen with a bunch of cis people at the helm, especially with people that can't even pronounce the names they talking. They spitting out their mouths. Doesn't make sense. And so it's like this place of, I don't know, like I think I feel blessed that at this point in my life, like I spent so much of my time with and talking to and loving up on other Black trans people. something that you said, Randy, about like people like coming last minute to get you to speak for $100. I think there's also a time in which people shortchange trans people the most. And it's like, it's wild to me. It's like, you want me to both talk about grief and my pain and to cry for you on cue, right? But you can't even respect me enough to want me to live. So all these things, it's like, you can't be dismissive of domestic violence survivors and support TDoor. You can't be, again, against sex work. You cannot be against houseless people. You cannot be shaming of the way people speak if we do not speak in white colonizer language, right? You cannot be shaming of all those things. You cannot be shaming of people who do not have college degrees. You cannot be shaming of people, right, that have mental illnesses or syndromes, right? Like all those, it becomes impossible. And yet you find people who do all those things every other time of the year, try to make a Disney effect out of TDoor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it? What is this? It's like we become commodified in so many directions. So I shared this with y'all earlier, I love anything that makes people uplift Black and brown and indigenous trans people, especially those that are living. I hate anything that continues. Like there's this place where we zombify people, right? Like where we like make people into these totems of something else, or like we make them into this caricature of themselves. I see that a lot at TDoor. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we take a breath? Is that okay? Because I'm about to feel a little emotional. Okay. Let's all take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's always complicated, like celebrating with people who don't actually understand your pain, or being asked to in public celebrate people that don't understand your pain. They never will, no matter how many trainings they go to.
Mm. Who facilitated those trainings?
Listen, I don't believe we can teach empathy. I'm gonna say that. I see a lot of people go through lots of stuff, learn lots of language, but they don't learn actual shit.
Right.
It's like, So I think even as we talk about like giving money and doing these things, it's like that's what you can do because that's the height of what you can do. That's the height of what you can do. Like all the other stuff, it's like because I can't teach you to actually like to feel things. But I can teach you to redistribute some resources. Just do that. Even if you don't even feel it in your bones when you're doing it, just do it till you understand it.
I can teach you that you're ignorant is at the cost of so many lives,
Yeah. Yeah. Dani, what about you?
It has taken me 46 years to step into who I am. Out of fear, out of being told you are not this person. And still questioning that because you are not carrying yourself in a particular way. That will validate the experiences of those that have passed away. It has taken me 46 years to name myself. And the amount of people that won't be able to name themselves. The amount of young trans people that their lives have been taken and they weren't able to fully name themselves. I am continuously blessed to have you two in my life, that you all force me in a really positive way to name myself. Um, and again, I don't get into the hoopla of things. Um, I know for myself if something comes out of my mouth, it is, I try not to be performative with it. There's my sister Kim, my sister Dada, my other trans sisters that have been in my life for a really long time. And by the grace of God and ancestors, they are still with us. And I consistently think about them. So I try not to do or say anything that is about the moment, because it's deeper to me than that. I will definitely say, like, my Kim and Dada also helped me start to name myself. And so, again, this just is a reminder that we have to create spaces where people are brave enough to name themselves, even at 46, at 56, at 66. That we have to continue to do that. That the work of those individuals that are no longer with us cannot go in vain. It also can't be performative. It also can't be a space where we just tell people to produce, 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 produce. Or we expect people to be glammed up. Or we expect people to be on hormones. Or we expect people to do these things that may not be a part of their trans identity, but it does not make them any less. We have to start telling people it is okay to name yourself. That's just as you all were talking, that's what I was thinking about. Just, the it has taken me this long. And even being forthright with my family about who I am, it's always a lot of fear. And also, I can't live in who they want me to be. Because that person is existing and they're not happy. I mean, I'm not doing it, but I just can't. So I'm going to stop there. That's just where I'm at right now.
I think as y'all are talking, and I just want to also, I really appreciate Tori Dean, what was said about it. It always feels like I'm entertainment versus deconstructing inherent bias, which I think is the thing that many of us face. Is like sometimes we're asked to be places not because they're actually absorbing the information we're taking, but because we look cool saying it, right? Or we look interesting to them, or we sound interesting to them. As you're sharing and talking about your experience, Dani, I'm thinking about my ideal trans day of remembrance, right? Like, we talked about like what it means to us and what's come to me in all these different places. I think my ideal trans day of remembrance would be like trans people just being invited someplace and being paid, not to do anything, but just to be alive and worshipped, and cared for, to have our feet washed, to have our food and our bills paid for, to have I wonder, where is a TDoor like that? In which we aren't expected to do the labor on days in which we're carrying so much grief, in which we been put in so many barriers and finding ourselves, right? We have to give birth to ourselves again and again and again, right? While burying our friends and our loved ones and the people that we care about the most, you know? And I don't know if that's the function of how the day was started. I don't know if it's a function of just that anything that touches corporate hands at some point will be co-opted and, and shifted. I don't know. But I know that we deserve more than just a solitary day to be given care and acknowledgement. Even when I think about Trans Day of Visibility, right? That's not necessarily it's not a day where we're cared for often. We get talked about, but again, we usually get underpaid to do some stuff that's a service to cis people,
Right. Can we remember those who might, live long lives? Like, can the TDoor be that? Whose lives have been cut short. Like, when are we celebrating? Like that. Are we celebrating? Or when we're remembering the last homeless trans person? You know what I mean? Or something like, when can we remember things that like have us living like fully and not always dying, or at less, being seen less than, being seen othered, being seen, yeah.
How do we build that kind of scaled love? So to that question, how do we build that kind of scaled love? What do y'all think about that question?
How do we build that kind of scaled?
This is a place in which we are worshipped and cared for and poured into.
I mean, we create spaces that do that, I've seen it happen.
And that's the thing. I think like we create those spaces. I think that so many, even as we talk about education stuff and all these different things, it's like so many education spaces when we talk about trying to teach people to be gender thoughtful or trans thoughtful, inclusive, whatever, expansive, all those different things, is usually to the lowest denominator, right? It's people that are so at the beginning of their journey. It's actually unuseful to living trans people who actually need shifts, dramatic shifts in this current moment. So I think it's always teaching other, like this summer, watching just some of the stuff that happened during all the protests, all the different things. I watched people show up for Black trans people in the midst of a lot of this stuff in a way that was different as far as financially that I hadn't seen before. And I'm saying that like in 6 years, I'm telling you, like 6 years ago, if you started an organization for Black trans people, you had $5. Right. I'm watching organizations today that started like in June that have millions of dollars. So that material shift has changed the ways that people understood. And it was Black trans people communicating with how people need to show up for them. And so as we as Black trans people, as brown trans people, and indigenous trans people are honest with people, not soft on people. I hate when we're soft on people that have a lot of power and that have a lot of ability to do some real good for us. I want us to be honest with the people in our proximity that that genuinely, some of them ain't gonna do shit, never gonna do shit, what have you. Out of 100 cis people, I think only 2 gonna do something good for you in your lifetime, right? But those 2 people need you to be clear about what the fuck you need, right? And the more plainer that we could say it, the more that we get closer to a world in which all of our needs are met. Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm going to say this about there were organizations here that was giving, especially to the Black Trans Task Force and other organizations. I'm just going to be honest. It was also power plays involved.
Oh, definitely.
It was also like the idea of, if we do this for you, if we do that for you, again, we are not a pawn in your game. And if that is, thank you for the money, but if that is what you're doing it for, then you've already failed and lost.
Yes.
Already failed. So don't use Black trans people to be a pawn in your organizational, queer, whatever you want to call it, pissing contest.
Yes.
Like, give the money and don't try to give the money in hopes of trying to get organizations to trans folks to be an ally to your organization.
Mhm.
Because also you're not being an ally to trans people if that is your thought process.
Mhm.
And if you are butthurt by what I'm saying, then you need to check yourself and don't check me.
Can I? That reminds me of this time, like for the Black Trans Prayer Book, like raising money to do healing work with Black trans people takes.
No, I think I know what you. Yes.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of energy and people that really want to deal with us when we have emergencies. What they perceive as an emergency, they don't perceive our constant condition as an emergency. But there's someone has to be literally beating down your door for them to think that it's important to intervene at that moment, even if they're not going to deal with you at that time because they'll say you're too angry, right? But so we had this organization here in Seattle that said like, oh, we're going to give you $10,000, right? And so it's tied to a larger white cis organization, right? But it's a small organization that was given some power, and they kept saying like, we're going to give this. Oh, but if we give, they not only halved what they or quartered, they said we're going to give you $10,000. Said the check is in the mail. Okay, wait on the check. Check 2 weeks later, a month later, check is not there. Okay, now they're like, oh, actually it didn't get sent out. Actually, we didn't have that money. Actually, we're gonna give you $2,500, right? But for that $2,500, we got to make sure that at your event you have our logo on your stuff. We got to make sure you got to allow us to have testing. We're gonna have HIV testing in the lobby of your event. Blah, blah. And me and my colleague Dane, we said, actually, we don't need that money from you. Actually, you can keep your money. Actually, if your money comes with any conditions, even if you go back to the original amount, we're good because we're going to find people that want to give us money unconditionally because you understand that you've been profiting off us the entire year anyway, right? Because we know that even if you give us a little bit of money, you're going to put us on your brochure. You're going to put us on your website. You're going to talk to your funders about us and what kind of good work we're doing, right? We're going to be in your portfolio of all the stuff you've done. So don't act like we don't know that we make you money every single breath that we take. Okay. And so in that way, we told those people in that moment, like, this is how you can do it or not. Right. And when we said no to those people, 3 other funders showed up for us and did exactly what we wanted them to do. Right. And not only did they do, some of those funders that showed up for us gave us more money than what we were anticipating. So we said no to $10,000. We made $30,000 by the end of that week.
Say that.
And the power of y'all knowing your worth. And being like, we're not going to take your fucking 2,500. We're not going to take that 10,000 you thought you promised us. Do you know what I mean? Like, like that also reminds me of like another organization, a dance organization that raised $10,000 this year and was like, we raised $10,000 for Black Lives Matter. Oh my God. I was like, okay. And it's like, do people understand that when they do this, we're looking at you like, so where was the rest of it? Yes. The rest of the year. Yeah. And again, they only did it that one time during the protesting,
and it was
very, and it was very much like we don't want to be seen as racist.
That's all.
We don't want to be seen as phobic, as isms, and it's like you're already that. You're
already that.
I mean,
like you're already that. It's okay with your one Black member. You're already that. It's okay.
And then this thing is like for you to like want to publicly announce that again. There are so many things that and so many people personally that I give to and donate to. I'm saying this now, but folks will never know because there's no point in me publicly stating that to say that I'm a good person or I'm not this person. Right. You just do it and you just move on. And then
that's what we've been doing for millennia. Like we've been like our paychecks have never been our paychecks. Our paychecks have always been our paychecks and the rest of our community's paychecks.
Say that. Say that. And then for you to be a very white, dense organization that allows a few Black people in, and then you do this thing and deserve a cookie. Honey, I can't give you a cookie. I just can't, So yes, we are over time, but this was important that we talk about this. There's more to come. I don't know. What else do you want to say?
Therapy is really huge. I hope y'all can find therapists between now and then. Hey. I see my therapist tomorrow morning. I'm actually really excited. I haven't seen that dude in forever.
This morning.
Oh God.
if people need like trans and queer therapists of color, national queer and trans therapists of color. I'm trying to like include. I'm trying to like remember this whole acronym as I'm typing it down. Or look at my phone real quick. But so there's a National Trans and Queer Therapists of Color Network, and so I'm gonna put that. We'll put that website on the comments for people. And so yeah, and they're national. It's run by a Black trans person in the world. Yeah, and I think it's just we all deserve some healing justice that comes from our vantage point and it comes from our cultural context.
Yes. And I'm also just throwing in, quickly all of our Venmos and Cash App again. You can pay us.
I'm raising money. I'm filming some music projects that are for the benefit of Black trans people. So if you want to invest in some Black trans work, you can donate to all of my things, as well as these.
So what people can do for me, right? So what people can do for me is like, I want money. So definitely you can send me money if you want to send me money. That's all right, please do that. But something that you can do for me that costs no money at all, absolutely no money at all, is I'm currently working on a text that is about a theology for survivors of violence. There's a multi-faith text, an interfaith and beyond faith text. So if you have opinions about the relationship between religion, violence, and accountability, if you have opinions, right? I didn't say if you were a person of faith. I didn't say that. I didn't say if you had a good relationship to faith or religious spaces. But if you have an opinion on the relationship between religion, accountability, and violence, I want to hear from you. In the comments, I'm going to put the form. It's a Google form for people to fill out. And yeah, that will help me get done a book. And you could be in the book. And if I choose you to be in the book or your experience to be in the book, you will get paid for your expertise, for your love, for your care. So I'm just going to put that in the comments now.
Right. I guess I'm not really working on a lot of things, I'm not going to lie. But one thing that I'm excited about that I'm slowly talking about, I'm involved with a lot of street and club style dances. And so I am going to start with my group, the congregation. I can't speak. Congregation. We are looking at to start a queer dance festival, hip hop dance festival, and street dance festival. A lot of these festivals that we see out in the world, they don't censor queer and trans people, and if they do, it's just bold or wacky, but it's not rooted in like popping or locking or breaking or anything like that. And it's very, very cis het men, and it can be very homophobic in the field and toxic masculinity. So with the help of Velocity Dance Center, we are looking to kick off that festival sometime next year. We're in the planning stages of that. So if you want to donate, again, you can donate wherever I was at. You'll see it, but you can give us some money. Everyone knows dance is really important to me, and Blackness and anything rooted in Blackness is important to me. So I just want to make sure that we can get this festival up and running to support especially queer and trans people that are Black and POC predominantly. And so we'll have more information about that coming out soon. Tori, I love it. So that's it. Again, we're running a little bit over time, but it was important to do that. Also, Soli Fund. If you want to give to the Soli Fund, if you want to give to the Soli Fund, what that fund is, it is this month we are censoring people that are HIV positive, but it will definitely be always. We're trying to make sure that money goes to Black people that are LGBTQIA plus. This month it is for those that are HIV positive. So if you want to give and donate, or you are a person that is a trans person and non-trans person that is HIV positive, but you are queer, please email me directly and we'll get that information. Mason put a bunch of things in the chat. Also, in the comment section.
So Tori was asking if there's a post we can share on Insta. I'm assuming about the Soli Fund, or is that what you're meaning, Tori?
Yeah.
Or something else? Because then I was looking through my email real quick to see if there was something we got from the Soli Fund.
Yeah.
No, there's no. We don't. We're still. Mason graciously is coming up with language for a lot of things, along with the other people involved in the Soli Fund. Right now, I'm just having people directly contact me. And again, if you know Mason or Randy, you can contact them directly. Please do that. But I've just been collecting a lot of the information from people. So just contact me and I can explain a little bit more. Or again, if you contact Mason or Randy, James III or Randy, then they can also explain a lot more to you. And again, we're, yes, Soli Fund. Yes, definitely. Tori, also through Instagram or something, send me a DM personally, and then I can talk to you more about that. Again, we're doing a lot of work. Go ahead.
Don't tag anyone you think might benefit from this fund. Just make sure you just message us directly. So don't tag or post anything. Just message us directly.
We want to make sure that they are respected. Again, stigma with HIV still exists, so we want to make sure that they are still respected.
Yes, you may, Tori. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Tori, so much for commenting. Thank you for those that are tuning in. Again, we are in the midst of some changes with the living room because we want to be around. We want to make sure that we're bringing our best work possible. We feel like what we do is important to this world and to this ecosystem to try to make change. So you will see some things. You'll hear some more things that's happening.
Y'all get on my nerves, like y'all. So again, if you were here for the beginning part, y'all, this will make sense to you in 2 weeks. But these two get on my nerves, my nerves. Okay,
love you, cousin.
On my nerves. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't sit here and be slick with me. Okay, get on my nerves. Okay.
I love you, fam.
Oh, sorry. Don't be apologizing because you blew up the feed. At least you commented.
I know, right?
Yes.
We love comments. We love comments.
For us, not next week, but the following week. For another Kiki.
Is that Turkey Day week?
Don't do that. See,
actually, it's Turkey Day week.
Oh yeah, we're definitely not here next week. Enjoy your families, enjoy your children.
We're going to Kiki with each other on Turkey Day.
On Turkey Day.
Yes.
See if that turkey was a 10 or a chop.
Chop. Right. We may cross over our cousins.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Wait, we
have to end correctly.
Hello, where's your joy, Mase?
What is your joy?
God, trying to get rid of us.
My joy is not the stressful way in which y'all try to see this conversation. That is not my joy. That is the antithesis to my joy.
Not antithesis.
What is y'all's joy? What is y'all's joy?
Seeing you squirm, like just seeing you squirm. My joy. In this way.
I think my joy today is just this time that we're spending together. I didn't know how much I needed that today. So definitely, I love y'all crazy kids. Being the eldest person of the group, I love you crazy kids. That is what our executive producer said. Hits.
Listen.
Statesman of the group. Or statesperson, whatever they said. I have to say, so again, we're just dropping nuggets.
Listen. Oh my goodness. So can we can I say thank y'all so much again? Thank y'all so much to people.
Say your joy.
I did say my joy. Well, I said what that thesis was of my joy was.
Oh, okay. So that really was your joy. Okay, I see.
we're not gonna. That's a leap. That's a little bit of a leap. But I'll respond to the joy question in the way that I could respond to the joy question in this moment, given the current conditions of the nugget dropping that is happening. That's what I could do right now. Just a few.
I'm not gonna say this for a whole week. We had to drop a few.
Right. That was a whole bunch of that. It was a bunch.
That was a party bag.
They got the Oscar gift bag.
Yeah.
They got the Oscar gift bag.
Listen.
Look, you all, we are also just trying to pump up what we do. So if there's things that you want us to talk about, please get at us on the Living Room Seattle on Instagram or our Facebook page. And also tell a friend, we're going to be gone for a week. We're going to come back. We want y'all to bring at least a friend or two.
Yeah.
The number's going to be crazy.
Yes. So bring a friend or two. No, thank you for sharing so much. I feel nourished. You are welcome.
Yes. So thank you for joining us for such an important show.
Yes. Yeah. So again, we will talk to y'all later. Remember, bring a friend or two, and we'll give y'all some more Oscar gift bags. Maybe we'll give you a Grammy gift bag next.
We'll give you a Grammy
Krabby Patty in the corner. I'll be the Krabby Patty in the corner.
It's like, I'm not saying the words.
Not the Krabby Patty.
Makes me feel a little insecure.
I didn't say it.
So with that, before we be telling ourselves too much in the world, again, thank y'all so much for joining us today. I know my heart is full from tonight. Thank you to everyone that commented, that observed, that poured into yourselves, listened to our stories. It's such a blessing. Dani and Randy, today felt like such a blessing. I'm so blessed to be in community with y'all. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Yes.